Come out, wherever you are. For Doomhammer!
We're at BlizzCon. We're talking to Philip Gonzalez from the Heroes of the Storm team, one of the Blizzard games that also got a bunch of news today, because that's what you guys do here, I guess. Yeah. First of all, you announced a closed beta date, December 13th. Sometime next year.
January 13th.
January 13th, thank you. So what's going to change when the game goes from alpha to beta?
Visually, I think we've been in a place where people keep asking us, why isn't this game out yet? And what's been happening behind the scenes is we're building up a lot of the infrastructure. We're getting a lot of regional support completely online to the quality level that we have let fans expect from us. There'll be a lot of stability. Regionally, we've localized the game in many different languages already, and it's a lot of that stuff coming together and finally getting ready for the beta phase where we can bring on more players and see how the infrastructure is holding up. And from there, we'll just keep strengthening it and quickly get into open beta from there.
Okay. So a bunch of new news for Heroes of the Storm here, including some new heroes. You're adding Thrall, you're adding Jaina, you're adding the Lost Vikings. So,
yes.
Let's start with them. This is the first hero you're adding to the game that isn't from Diablo or Warcraft or Starcraft. So tell us about that.
Well, when we introduced the concept of the Nexus, being able to visit all these different Blizzard universes, people immediately asked us about our classic games. Are we going to see Rock and Roll Racing, Blackthorn, and Lost Vikings? And the answer was always yes, but Lost Vikings was very, very highly requested. And we came back from BlizzCon last year, and we really put our heads together and said, okay, what do we need to do to make this happen? Our deep dive panel is going to go into some of this discussion, but one of the things that was really important was the Lost Vikings are 3 heroes in one. How do we make multi-unit control work in a game that's predominantly single character based? We had talked before about using Chin's Storm, Earth, and Fire as an initial tryout for that, but the biggest disadvantage was allowing someone to understand those new multi-unit controls in the span of one ultimate ability. With the Lost Vikings, we have an opportunity to say this is what the fundamental hero function is and really introduce how those mechanics would play out. Once we just figure out how those mechanics worked, it's just been a very rigorous testing process of how do we bring abilities online, how do we make their talent system work, how do we make the QWE work for 3 characters. But it's coming together really well. They're a little bit more complicated, but I think players are really going to enjoy that experience. We're really making it work, having 3 characters under one user's control.
Yeah, you're really breaking the rules of the genre here in a way, because traditionally games like Heroes of the Storm have been, you control one guy and one guy only. Mm-hmm. So that I assume that has to have been some sort of a big challenge.
Absolutely. We are so focused on control, usability, iconography, pathing, a lot of these fundamentals which essentially are the building blocks for the game. We don't want to create these weird exceptions, and so when we took on the challenge of Lost Vikings, we absolutely had the utmost importance in mind of this has to work. We can't break the game for one character. It has to work, and that's been the fun challenge of some of these more outlandish characters and talents, Murky and Abathur being pioneers of some of that, where we're figuring out how to try some of that crazy stuff but still let the game function as well as possible.
I'm guessing from an art perspective, there's also been some fun stuff there, because Lost Vikings is over 20 years old.
Yeah, we're going to go into it a little bit in the deep dive panel, but some of the really creative challenges we have where we look back on this art from 20 years ago and we go, man, they all looked kind of similar. Aside from some of the weapons, they all looked the same. And even in Lost Vikings 2, you could see someone had pointed out the same thing. They said, we need to make Olaf a little bit more distinct from Eric, and they really started to take shape, and we kind of continue that with this iteration of Lost Vikings. We decided to give them a lot more distinct colors and really put emphasis on their tools, their weapons, the things that their abilities are centered around, and really saying, dude, this guy is all about his shield. He's a big dude. He's going to be blocking stuff. Eric is really fast. Let's make him tiny. He's going to move really quick. And just epitomizing what their roles should be, so it makes a lot more sense from a visual standpoint and still holds true to that classic look.
I remember reading official descriptions of Heroes of the Storm from way early. It was like, you play as this guy and play as that guy and play as Thrall and play as, and you haven't, like, the game's been around for almost a year now and you're only just adding Thrall. So I'm thinking, what took you guys so long?
Well, once again, like, this is a lot of panel coverage, but we developed Thrall really, really early on, and we were seeing Thrall do stuff like chain heal, leaving totems on the ground, doing bloodlust. And from a creative standpoint, we kind of took a step back and said, this is a great kit, this is a great shaman, and Thrall is a shaman. But I think we're emphasizing a shaman play build that doesn't necessarily fit Thrall, the master of elements, the, representative of the aspect of Earth now. We should take that kit that's working and maybe appropriate it to a place that makes more sense, and that's where Rhaegar came from. We said, this is a great shaman kit. It'd be more appropriate on a support character like Rhaegar, and we're going to go back to the drawing board and make a version of Thrall that really gets you on the front line. It gets you doing all that storm, earth, fire, all that elemental damage that Thrall is known for, and really, of the utmost importance, emphasizes the fantasy of you're playing as Thrall.
So in the lore World of Warcraft timeline, this is Thrall as he is at the beginning of Warlords of Draenor, I guess, or around there.
We're kind of going back to a War 3 visual, but ability-wise, we're kind of always seeking what is the biggest epitome of that character this time. And sometimes we have characters like Jaina, who's also new, who she has the full range of mage spells, but we really thought, let's emphasize the water and ice aspects of it, because the water elemental is such a key associate of her visual. Like, you always see a water elemental kind of bodyguarding for her, and it's always under her control, and we thought, that's kind of the direction we want to head in and epitomize that character with.
There's also new battlegrounds. I can't remember if there's one or two, but I'm sure you can tell me. So what are the new battlegrounds about?
We're doing 2 Egyptian-themed battlegrounds. One is playable and will be released very, very soon. It's called Sky Temple, and it has, as always, a new map mechanic. It's got a couple capture points that work a little bit like watchtowers, but in controlling these towers, you are able to bombard the enemy fortifications with a laser beam. It's not completely unchallenged, though, because as you control it, there's going to be these temple guardians who come to life, and they'll try and defend it and keep you trying to make you retreat from the capture point. So in maintaining the capture point, you have to put out DPS, you have to maintain your foothold, but it's going to yield a pretty big offensive advantage. We're also going to be showing Tomb of the Spider Queen, which is a map that's very much in production right now. It's kind of in a work in progress state, and it's not completely polished, but it will continue this Egyptian theme, and it continues this trend of the Nexus, showing all the heroes entering into a new dimension together and experiencing these new Blizzard worlds.
Why go with the Egyptian theme compared to other stuff you've done?
It was really important for us initially when we developed the concept of the Nexus, because we really wanted to rationalize how the characters come together. The Nexus made a lot of sense, but one thing we felt was super important was that the characters are coming together, and that's a new experience for not only the characters, but also for the player. And for the characters, the new experience is like, well, if we put Diablo characters into the Warcraft universe, but they're next to Thrall, it's like, this is no big deal to Thrall. That makes the Diablo characters feel like a foreigner, but if they're all going to a new location, it's like, okay, Thrall, the Barbarian, Raynor, they're all experiencing this location for the first time. That being said, we have announced that we're going to Diablo next. That's going to be our next battleground, is Heaven and Hell are smashed together, and we really are going to be going crazy with the aesthetics. There'll be Heaven side, Hell side, all the towers, the mercenaries, the minions. They'll all reflect that new visual scheme that is a Blizzard universe that we know about, and it's going to start the standard for what it will look like whenever we do go to a Blizzard universe world. It's going to be completely over the top, and we might be smashing things together that you've never seen, like Ice Crown versus the Black Temple. Just maybe we'll be getting completely crazy with it.
Right. I'm in the alpha, and I've played it quite a bit. I found so far most of the maps I pretty much know what to do, and I do okay. On the pirate ship map, I'm almost completely lost. So that leads me to asking, how happy are you guys with where the maps in general are at this point?
We are taking in a lot of feedback, and I think for the most part we feel like a lot of the map mechanics are making sense, but we do get a feedback on a couple maps pretty frequently, and we are looking into tuning. We're always trying to figure out how do we make the map mechanic feel unique but not completely override all other options on the map, because we still think it's very important that mercenaries are a viable strategy, that team fighting is a viable strategy. That's where we seek a lot of the depth and the competitive nature of this game. And so we're still tuning all that stuff, and I think as the game goes into beta, you'll see a lot more of those builds iterate and improve upon those mechanics.
The new additions that you've announced here at BlizzCon, when are they going into the game? Are they coming with the closed beta? Will they be there? Will they get there earlier?
Our release schedule, I do not know it specifically, but I do know we are going to release the Sky Temple very, very shortly. Jaina will be coming up soon. I think those guys are definitely coming up before the holiday season. Thrall, I believe, is early next year. So everything you're seeing here is very much close to being final. And it isn't anything we're waiting specifically for the beta to come up or anything like that. It's just when it's ready, it's going to come out, and it's going to come out probably pretty soon. A lot of the stuff you see on the show floor, it's stuff we've been knowing is coming up, and it's coming out soon.
Besides the Diablo maps, is there anything else on the horizon that goes beyond the closed beta?
Yeah, we're with the Diablo map. We're planning on a lot of Diablo-themed content, so we'll probably see Diablo-themed mounts. We absolutely have Diablo-themed characters on the way. We're going to be showing the Crusader, the Butcher, and King Leoric at BlizzCon. We're also probably going to have a lot of Diablo-themed skins for the Sky Temple. Some people may have noticed we've done a lot of cosmetic stuff there. Sky Temple themed skins, Sky Temple themed flying carpet mount. So we're always going to be trying to make this an immersive experience, so you really feel like the Nexus is crossing over and changing a lot of these characters and a lot of the visual stuff as well.
Last question: which character is your favorite?
I really like Stitches right now. I like throwing these hooks and catching people, and I'm also trying to get better at Gazlo. I'm a good Gazlo, but I'm not great, so sorry if my bombs aren't landing in the right spots, guys, because I'm getting better at it. But yeah, those are my two favorites right now.
All right. Thanks for talking to us, Phil.
Thank you very much.